The first question I wanted to ask you is I just was reading all the things that you've done in the past, and it looks like you definitely have always been athlete first, athlete friendly. Just tell us a little bit about what's happening now in this venture with the Fighters First Management.
Yeah, I was called on 3 years ago, actually. 3 years ago, 3 years, 3 months to build this company. Now, mind you, I sold my first company, which is AC Sports Management, that I built up 2012 to about 2019. So I was kind of floating as a consultant for a few years.
Mhm.
And I got a call, man, from a friend out in Georgia, and he was saying that he has a guy that has an idea, and they wanted to meet and talk. And it was cool meeting these guys for the first time because I've written a couple of books, and when I got to Georgia and to the dealership, like I saw my books like laying everywhere, and I'm like, okay, this is flattering, but kind of weird, but flattering. But man, these guys, they were like quoting my book, "Protect Yourself at All Times," to me, things that I wrote. And it was really cool, really flattering. And I sat down with a gentleman by the name of David Basha, who owns Fighters First, and he told me he read "Protect Yourself at All Times," and he loved the book, and he loved the concept of how fighters should be treated. And he said, that's why I wanted to meet with you. I want to start a company, and I want the company to run just as you wrote the book on how to protect the fighters. And so you think you can or be interested in doing something like that? And at the time, like I'm just a consultant, so I'm kind of free, but I love their energy, and I love the idea of building another management company with protecting the fighter, man. So it's history from there. But it's been good. 3 years, man, and some change, and in under 3 years, a world champion in Brian Norman Jr., heavyweight contender in Otto Wallen, and we got a lot of young guys that are on the brink of something special. So it's been good. And having Jolene Mazzone as president, that was my first and only hire. I wanted to bring her on, and it's been making sense, man. So it's been really good.
How did you transition? Because I see that you kind of started with NBA of management and
Yeah.
players, but then you started writing the books on boxing. Where did that transition, come from that you felt like, okay, I'm working with the NBA, but it's really these fighters that need some knowledge on protecting,
Yeah.
themselves.
I want to lie and be like, oh, I strategized this and I made this man. Honestly, I was a young kid, and when I became a NBA agent, I was ignorant to a lot, so I didn't know how much money you actually needed to represent athletes because the NBA season doesn't start until the fall, so you sign a guy early in the spring. They need to be bankrolled. They need to be that needs to be taken care of. The draft workouts, the living arrangements, sometimes the cars, the front money, somebody has to take care of that. Typically, it's the agent. And I'm like, I just graduated college like a year ago. So I boxed in college, and I wasn't a good boxer. I started late, and I was hoping that the NBA was my calling. And it was in regards to learning the business of the sport. But boxing was always chasing me. There was this young guy, Jerry Belmontes, out of Corpus, where I went to school at. And he would just always ask me to help him out with his career, manage him. And I'm like, no, man, I'm going to be an NBA agent. I'm going to be the top NBA guy. But the transition really just came from, okay, this NBA thing is just too expensive. I don't have the money to do this. But with boxing, there's a guy and he's 11 and 0, and he's a great fighter, and he needs my help, and he doesn't need a lot of money to do it. That's where the transition came from.
Okay, I got you. Now, you spoke about your book, the Protect Yourself kind of at all times, a
Yeah,
professional guide for professional boxing. And
yeah,
we heard since the ever since I've gotten to boxing, when I used to watch the old stories about Joe Louis and those back in the day, how they ended up
yeah.
broke, how they ended up with the financial issues that they had. You see it even today.
Right.
What is the kind of the core? If someone is interested in getting that book, what is kind of the core kind of messages in that book, if you were, say you were up and coming, say you're a teenager, a young person that's getting into boxing, that you would want them to take from that book?
Education is everything. That's the you have to start with education. Just imagine, you going back to elementary and they didn't teach you your one, two, threes or your ABCs, but they just push you through. Like, okay, well, we're not gonna teach you this, but just still we're gonna move you along and just do the best you can, but we're not gonna give you the essentials. Education is key in everything, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whether it's art, you name it, education is important. So that's the one thing I want the fighters to take away from it is that, okay, this is my education. This is my ABCs or my one, two, threes in regards to the sport of boxing. So that's the main thing I would want them to take away from protect yourself at all times.
So you mentioned, Brian Norman Jr., Otto Wallen, some people that you've had associations with. You have a card coming up here on August the 23rd.
Saturday.
Saturday coming up
Mhm.
soon here in San Antonio, hotbed for boxing. Bam Rodriguez and others, and Virgil
Yes.
Ortiz in that area. Can you tell us a little bit about the talent that is going to be on that show? And I think it's kind of refreshing because boxing sometimes people only think there's two promoters or whatever, and the two fighters in the world.
Right.
Just some of the people that if they're going to watch or buy tickets or considering buying tickets, what can they expect, from this show, and who's maybe you think may be the breakout, star from it?
And we have a bit of everything for this show. Locally, we have Javier Pitbull Rodriguez, who's a huge ticket seller, and he's a veteran fighter. I think he almost has 20 fights. So he's going to be our co-main event because he sold so many tickets. People in San Antonio love Pitbull, and it'll actually be my first time seeing him fight in person. So looking forward to that. Also from San Antonio is Isaac Bermea, young kid. He's 6-0. I think he's the next best fighter out of San Antonio. Bam Rodriguez is there, and you got Mario Barrios there, are both champions. But I think Isaac Bermea, I think he's going to be the next champion from San Antonio. And then not from San Antonio, we have our young guy that we represent at Fighters First, Joseph Alamajdi. He's 2-0, 20 years old, but man, he's just smooth, bro. Everything that you love about boxing, that's what Joseph has in the tank. And then we have from Houston fighting out of Orlando, Florida, is Justin Paldo, who's 18-2, I believe, on the brink of fighting for a lightweight world championship. He's in a 10-round fight. And then our main event is actually from Atlantic City, and his name is Justin Tom Figueroa. And when you see him, you're not going to forget him. Very good looking kid, well spoken, but he can fight his ass off, man. He can fight, and he is an entertainer. He's the fighting pride of Atlantic City, but he's looking for his 13th consecutive win. And if he wins by knockout, he does something crazy after he knocks somebody out. So I hope he gets a knockout so the people of San Antonio can see the entertainment value of Justin. But really exciting card, man. I think San Antonio is the fight capital of Texas. I'm from Dallas, but I think I can say San Antonio is the fight capital of Texas. Very rich, very powerful fans down there. So I'm looking forward to doing this show with my former business partner and one of my mentors, Desi Martinez.
Yeah, San Antonio's good. The first fight I saw in San Antonio live was Adrian Broner and Marcos Maidana.
Pardon, gotcha.
It was such a great fight. I always tell the story. When Broner came in, he had this huge entourage of ladies and all of this stuff. And by the time the fight was over, they had left with the Charlo brothers.
Yeah.
That was the day that I learned the highs and lows from champion. You know, and I remember I was in the back. I said, "Well, now you know who your real, friends are. Who's
Right.
who's good defend." Just one last question for you. The landscape of boxing. With you see the UFC's getting $1 billion right now, and most of these fights, I guess the marquee fights, with Turkey Al Sheikha, we're seeing it a lot overseas. We're seeing a lot of streaming. Now we don't really have anyone with a network deal. As someone that has been in the business and have so much, like you said, education, how do you see boxing right now, and what do you think can be done to kind of get it back to a must-watch, kind of sport?
Well, to be honest, man, I love where it's at. Like when there's new players that come into the game, it's always good.
Mhm.
I love having new faces and younger faces come in. 16 years ago, I was a guy that was a young face, that was a nobody, and I think I've built a respectful name or respectable name as a athlete representative in sports. But having a guy like Turkey Al Sheikh that's new into the game and what he's done so far, it's been amazing, and I want to see more. But I love how it puts pressure on the traditional promoters, the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Bob Arums, the Eddie Hearns, the those guys. It puts pressure on them, but I feel like it's not at its highest peak. But I feel like boxing is at a point where a good corner is about to be turned, essentially, and things will get back to a rich stage essentially, but it's a building standpoint, and then everything is changing. The way boxing is watched, the way it's done, it's just changing. Now we got, like, I just read about Jake Paul fighting Javante Davis.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's everything is different now, so we have to move with the times. How it used to be, those are the used tos, and I think we're kind of doing away with that model. So now we have to just embrace the newness. So I'm looking forward to seeing what TKO boxing is going to do. I love what Brandon Rhodes and Overtime is doing. I love that I know Bob Arum has something up his sleeve in regards to a network deal. I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure Oscar's going to do something crazy with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. It's rich, man. It's rich and people that love the sport and can continue building the sport. So I'm excited about it all, to be honest with you.
Awesome. And just before I let you go, can you tell everybody, where the San Antonio Showdown is going to be, how they can get tickets, if they're not in town, how could they watch? Any information you want to, give out that I can let my readers and the viewers know how they
Gotcha.
can make sure they see this event.
Yeah, man, Desi Martinez and Desi Martinez Promotions and Fighters First Management doing the San Antonio Summer Showdown. We're actually almost sold out. We were going over tickets last night, and we don't really have too much left. But you can just type in the San Antonio Showdown on Google, and it'll bring up the Ticketmaster or the e-ticket law where you can order your tickets. But it's almost over with in
Mhm.
regards to that. And then we have a local channel that you have to
Okay.
excuse me. I don't know the particulars of the local setup as far as viewership goes, but I know we're gonna do a local broadcast
Awesome.
that San Antonio fans will be able to tune into, man. But it's
Dope.
gonna be a great show, and you can find us on fightersfirstmanagement.com or just Fighters First on Instagram, and we'll pop right up. But